Welcome to episode 2 of Pixel Beast. This is try number 2 of this podcast.
Take 2.
Oh man, I'm so bummed. Like, did I tell you what happened after you got off from trying to record last night?
No.
Oh man, so I started downloading started uploading your audio, and then it stopped at about 40%. And I'm sitting there looking at it for about 10 minutes and it's still at 40%. I'm like, why is it not working? And I'm like, okay, well, clearly something's messed up. So I went to the settings and I got out of the settings, just trying to search for help. And all of a sudden a red exclamation point popped up and it's like audio lost, not found or something. I'm like, oh no.
That's good.
So I tried refreshing the page and and then it said audio lost. I'm like, you've got to be.
Yeah, that's exactly the message you want to see after recording a 40-minute podcast.
Yeah, and it was so good too. So
it was good, yeah.
But like I said, this will be good because we can keep our thoughts more concise. We got all the excitement out.
Trim some of the fat off the 40 minutes.
Exactly. And then we can talk about Bigfoot a little bit.
It's like, probably. That's like, how much do I bet this one's going to go longer?
Oh, man. We'll see. Oh, goodness. Maybe we should start with Fallout then. Since since the podcast is about Fallout, let's start out with Wastelanders DLC.
We're only 2 minutes in and we're already talking about Fallout. What were we last night? Like
11
minutes, dude.
We're doing it, man. We're getting good at this. Oh man, if only people listened.
I'm listening.
Everyone, listen to me. All right, Wastelanders DLC. So what is your top-down initial thought of this expansion so far?
Fallout 76 Wastelanders, the expansion that we've all been kind of waiting for, literally pretty much since the game came out, and
this is what we wanted, the game as it released.
Yeah, and the basic, without diving too deep into it, it's exactly what I wanted out of this game whenever it initially launched. If I'm being completely honest, Fallout 76, whenever I initially pictured a Fallout multiplayer game, I was picturing something like we have right now with Wastelanders. Something that feels like Fallout, caters to, longtime Fallout fans who want an immersive world with great storytelling, with great characters, while also being, a multiplayer game. And I feel like now Fallout 76 is finally what I'd imagine when they announced Fallout 76 in the first place.
And you're definitely not alone there. Like I myself included, and I think probably 100% of the community thought when they said that it would be multiplayer, they're like, oh yes, it's Fallout with your friends. And it's Fallout with co-op, which is what people wanted, and what we got was, it was, and this is exact. Oh goodness. We got nuclear winter instead. But no, oh man. I had a thought in my head. So they did some. Hold on a second. My mind went blank, going a million miles an hour. Okay. So the world in the game when it first came out, kind of like what I was talking about last night, is very much Fallout. The aesthetic is beautiful. The map design is beautiful. They have a lot of storytelling with the map itself, which is very much Fallout. And it's one of those things almost like the more you explore and you look at the intricate details of the world, the more the story you see. And that part of it, when it first released, was exactly what we were wanting. It was exactly what Fallout has always been. Right. And we were just missing the more integral part, which is the dialogue, right. The NPCs, the stuff that made the world feel alive. This world, surprisingly, with I think it's like 16 players or something in the world, still felt very empty, which is so weird. You would think with other people it wouldn't.
Yeah,
But
I mean, it's weird that you have the first Fallout game that you can actually play with other human beings and it feels lifeless. It's
yeah,
weird
like
that.
unless you were in a group or you were in like hot areas like White Springs or Vault 76, or if someone was nuking a Scorch Beast Queen, apart from those where everyone would congregate to those areas, it was very empty and it felt very lifeless, and it was missing that Fallout charm. And this DLC delivers that, and I love it so much.
Oh yeah, like one of the greatest things that I can really say about Wastelanders is the fact that it's crazy to think that they tried to do one of the most innovative things in the franchise. Argue probably the most innovative thing that Fallout has ever tried to do is Fallout 76. They are going to try to make what is traditionally a single player RPG into a multiplayer game. And what I find very interesting is the fact that them trying to innovate and do something that they've never done before, not necessarily something that the fans wanted. What ultimately saves this game is going back and not really pushing forward to try something new and crazy, but really just going back and giving Fallout fans what we've loved the whole time, which is, like I said before, great storytelling, great characters, and just that Fallout fix that we all want. And that's really what Wastelanders does well. It gives us like not just the dialogue but stories with characters. And I mean, at its very essence, at its core, that's why people love Fallout. I mean, you can look at any other franchise that's got great stories. Think about like Star Wars or anything.
Or The
Movies like
Witcher.
that. It's the characters, it's the
Yeah.
stories, it's yeah, the battles and everything are great, but if that's all you have, I mean, not we're not going to talk about Star Wars, but basically what I'm getting at is like, yeah, the a lightsaber fight in Star Wars wouldn't be as cool or interesting if we didn't care about the people fighting, or why they were fighting. And
Right.
and that's really what Wastelanders is giving us. Is it's giving us the meat and potatoes of Fallout, which is great stories, great characters. And it's crazy that it took a year and a half to 2 years for them to release an expansion to finally make this Fallout game feel like Fallout.
Yeah. And you say you go back to the storytelling aspect, like you were saying. Witcher is probably the most recent example of a modern game doing that, where yeah, don't the controls and the combat are fantastic, but what puts that game on a whole other level is just the story
Mm-hmm.
that it brings with it.
Just
And
absolutely
it,
dripping in atmosphere, great characters,
mhm.
great writing. And if you don't have those components and that's what people expect when they play a Witcher game, and it's the same with Fallout, and if you take that away and replace the great characters and great storytelling with holotapes, then
Yeah.
you're gonna ruffle some feathers. And that's obviously what happened. And I mean, it's no secret that Fallout 76 had a rocky start, but this.
This game definitely went a different direction than what the community wanted. And I was kind of talking about last night before we rudely lost the audio. um, the design of this game, I very much believe that the design of this game, or the direction that the developers wanted to take it, are completely different from what the community wanted. And I think Wastelanders is the answer to that.
Oh
That's
yeah.
that's Bethesda. That's Bethesda listening to the community, seeing what they liked, seeing what they want, and they say, okay, clearly we were wrong in the way that we wanted this game to go. Let's bring back some of the aspects that people want, make it more of a Fallout experience, and and then build from there. And I think this is a great foundation for them to do that forward. One thing that I thought was so interesting, I wish I would have looked up the article before this. There was an article that they had spoken to some of the developers, and they'd said something like they were surprised at how much people did not want a PvP. They were, how much they hated the PvP aspect of it, and
Yeah.
how much the social aspect of it was so popular. And I'm thinking, what are
Yeah.
you talking about? Like, Fallout is a social experience.
It's like
The
if we
only
want
thing it
our
was
PvP,
missing was
we're gonna go to
multiplayer.
our PvP games. If we want
Right.
Fallout or Fallout, we go to Fallout. And they're surprised by that, which is
Yeah.
very that's interesting.
And to go into a little bit more detail about the conversations, kind of like I was talking about, was um the conversations are very pre Fallout 4. They take a lot of inspiration from, like I said, I played all the Fallout games, 1, 2, Tactics, 3, New Vegas, 4. I played them all. I love them to death. And Fallout 3 is probably one of my favorite games of all time. Fallout
Fallout 3 is
4 is
definitely my personal
yeah.
favorite.
Fallout 4 is definitely a close second, but not because of the story as much as the world and kind of the mechanics that brings with that game.
Yeah.
But yeah, this game takes a lot of inspiration from those older style Fallout games in terms of the conversation. And one way that they do that very much so is the skill checks. There are so many skill checks in every conversation that you do that lead to different variables or different opportunities to complete quests, which is fantastic. Like I was, we talked about one last night where, because I know you haven't played as much of the quests as I have,
Right.
but there was one quest in the beginning that we did where I told you I had talked to a bandit leader, and I had actually I had a skill check to threaten him with violence, and then he actually backed down, so I didn't have to fight the camp. Where you decided
I
to
showed up
take your power armor,
Gatling laser, and just turned them all into mulch.
Yeah. And that's the charm of Fallout, is the freedom of choice. You have 5 solutions to choose from to complete the quest the way that you complete it. And I think that's why Fallout is so beloved, because you have that connection with your character. The game design enables you to create that connection, which is fantastic.
Oh yeah, like you said before, like it's kind of nuts because I mean, when you think about Fallout 76 at launch, you didn't really have these dialogue options. I mean, who are you even really talking to? Because there was no NPCs, but you solved every problem with your characters, with combat. Your stats and your perks, and it was always going to result in combat. And with Fallout 76 Wastelanders, like you said, you can use those perks and those skills that you've acquired. Because, we didn't mention this yet, but we jumped into Wastelanders with our pre-existing characters. You were like a 120, I was a 60. We played a lot of Fallout 76, and so we jumped into Wastelanders, and all of those perks we put into strength or intelligence, we could then use outside of combat and actually use them within conversations. Like with skill checks with strength, you can try to intimidate somebody, or intelligence, you can try to throw something at them that goes way over their head, and you can do that, and it's funny. The conversations aren't just just throwaway lines; they're actually witty and smart.
The dialogue in this game is fantastic. There's no piece of dialogue that is not fun to read.
Right.
It's all very well written. It's all funny. And it's cool because if you go in as a high level character, you're not all powerful like you think you are. It's like, yeah, you can take down a whole mob of Scorched easy because you've got your junky glass cannon build, whatever it's called. I don't know what it's called. I don't know what the meta is anymore. But you're good at combat, but you may not be able to solve this skill check because you've invested your build into a combat build instead of a conversation build. There are so many times where, I might be able to pass intelligence skill checks or strength skill checks, but if someone, like raiders in particular, are not wooed by intelligence, they're wooed by charisma. And I've had so many dialogue choices where I couldn't do it because I didn't meet the charisma part of it, which is really interesting.
And that's great because those perks like intelligence and charisma have been in the game since launch, and you've been able to build these things up, and now it's like out of nowhere with just this one expansion, you can use all of those perks and stuff that you've put into intelligence or charisma in a completely new way. It's not just to get a better price from the bot at a store, or or to be able to hack a computer better. You can actually use them within dialogue with NPCs to complete missions without using your guns to solve every problem. and that's very Fallout. And that's that's one of the things, like you mentioned before, that Fallout fans expect and love about Fallout. And it's better late than never. But Wastelanders gets it to where we're there, we like it. And really really the thing that I can't praise Bethesda for enough is the fact that we all know how this game launched, and how easy would it have been for them to just sweep this under the rug and just count it as a loss, move on, keep working on Starfield, and just be like, okay, let's try to make this a distant memory as fast as they can. But like I said, the dialogue is high quality. It's funny. It's witty. They put a lot of work into the perks and things like that to be able to implement them into the NPC interactions. It's all there. It's all great. It's good quality. It's not just they hammered this thing together and threw it out to get to appease fans. But honestly, this is the biggest expansion the game has ever had, and it's the most stable. Which being a Fallout 76 player is very surprising. From their
to me was a sign from them. What was a sign from them saying, we're not giving up on this game. We're going to pump this out, make this the best product that we possibly can. We want to show you that we're here for the long haul. And that's exactly what I got from this expansion so far. Just the stability of it. I haven't ran into very many issues with it. But yeah, the way that this released, no other expansion that they've released has been this stable, which I love to hear. There have been a couple things I've seen on the Reddit past couple days, but Bethesda has been quick to the gun. They've been saying, you know what, we're on it already. We've been looking at your comments. We're on it. A hot fix will be out in the next few days. Stay tuned. We'll keep you updated. It's like, wow. Where did this come from? Yeah. No other. That's what I love about Bethesda. They've been quiet sometimes, but for the most part, they are the most open with their video games. They're the most open with their communication and, the dev process. I think a close second is EA with Battlefront 2. That, that dev team as well has been very open, but that's the way to do it. That's the way to do it. And it's made me, I want to invest into that future. I'm very much looking forward to how they build upon the conversation and the quest aspect of it. I would love to see builds that are not combat based and they are like intelligence based or, speech based, where like, if they want to solve quests without combat, I want to see those builds. And I hope that they build upon that foundation a little bit more, so we see more varied builds like that.
Oh yeah, that'd be excellent, because like I said, like when you think of like Fallout and what and what you expect whenever you're creating your character in a traditional Fallout game, you don't just think about when you're choosing your perks and doing all this and that. You're not just thinking about like what's going to kick ass in combat. I'm thinking about getting my speech up so that I could, or my charisma up so I can sway people and do this and that. But obviously in a multiplayer game where the main interaction you're gonna be doing with other players is shooting them, that doesn't seem like a thing that's really even plausible. But with this game, now with this update, Wastelanders, it's back. You can go level and do these missions that feel like Fallout quests with NPCs with cool characters and not have to shoot your way out. You can use all these skill checks with your perks and stuff, and it feels great. And that's and like we said before, is like every expansion that's come out before this, it seems like they'd fix something, but that fix would break two other things. And
very much one step forward, two steps back every single expansion or update that they've had.
Yeah, and this is by far the largest expansion they've made, and you would think it would break, a ton of stuff, but it doesn't. It's extremely stable from what I've played. And every time I get on and log a few more hours, I'm even further impressed by the just the way NPCs are implemented into the world. Because even whenever they announced it, I was like, okay, honestly, what would be the easiest way to implement NPCs into a multiplayer game like this? And I'd be like, okay, well, the NPCs are not going to be wandering the world. They're going to be in instance areas where we can't kill them, because if you're going to go to a quest giver, it doesn't work if some other dude just shoots her in the face and it's over, And from what I've seen, they have big settlements. You can go and, talk to people, buy stuff that have tons of charm. Like that town we visited that had what was his name?
Foundation.
Yeah.
With the three Sunnies.
Yeah. The three Sunnies. Yeah. That's good. That's like genuine Fallout. And I really enjoyed that. But at the same time, you can come across, random settlers wandering through the woods, and
Man,
that's
I'll tell
really
you what, if we weren't sticking to a time frame, I could go into that so much right now. I played so much yesterday and today, and I've discovered so many new things that have just taken what we like, just from
uh-oh.
the little bit that we know about the game, and it's multiply that by like 10. And
Oh
there's
yeah.
so much that we haven't even seen yet. And to quickly go over it, I sent you a link. I don't know if you had a chance to look at it or not. They did an AMA today or yesterday where they kind of talked about the future of the game, stuff they had planned. They're looking at getting new funding from other sources so that they can continue to build and create expansions like this and build upon this foundation. I think they're very much going the Elder Scrolls Online route, where they're trying to keep the game fresh, and I think look for building upon the foundation that they made with Wastelanders, creating more stories. They're looking at expanding the camp to turn it into more of a settlement, because you can actually get allies that stay at your camp now, which is really cool.
That is cool.
um,
I didn't even know that myself.
yeah, I just started tweaking with it today. It's pretty awesome. They're looking at building upon all of that, which, you know, that alone, with this expansion, and then them talking in this AMA, I invested in the Fallout first. I had a lot of opinions about this service. I did not like the release of it. The initial
Oh
release
yeah.
of it, I was very very anti Fallout first. After seeing their commitment to this expansion, seeing everything, the commitment to the community, I'm all for it now. Like, I want them to be able to continue to iterate on this game and work on it. And I understand if they're going to be releasing expansions for free, they need support. And for me, that's, okay, if you're willing to put in the effort like this, I'm willing to invest in you for the long haul.
Right. Yeah, and like you said before, like when they initially launched Fallout first, who could blame you? Nobody liked it, because I know we talked about this last night, but they announced Fallout first just a few days after they announced the delay of Wastelanders, the biggest expansion that we've all been waiting to see. And then, we're all eagerly awaiting it, and then they're like, "Hey guys, it's delayed. You're going to have to wait a bit." And we're like, "Okay, all right,
The
just
timing
give
was
us a polished
terrible.
product." And then a few days later, it's like, "Hey, you want to subscribe? Join a subscription and pay us money." It's like,
It was even
okay,
broken when it came, and that was the thing. It was even broken when it came out. People were paying $13 a month or $100 a year for an additional product that they couldn't even use properly because it was broken.
yeah, which is just goes that would fits a lot right along with all the other issues that Fallout 76 was having with its launch. But like you said, choosing to support Fallout first is completely up to each individual consumer. But I believe even with my channel, like, and you see this on YouTube all the time. You'll see
Hmm.
there's channels out there, YouTube channels that because negativity sells, and they
Yeah,
make their whole channel, their whole personality is wrapped around hating something, because hate gets views, negativity gets views. And and I feel like if you're going to do that, if you're going to hate on something, be it games, movies, whatever, then in order to have like a genuine like opinion that I can trust, if you're going to hate on something, you need to be able to praise the things that they do right. Otherwise, what's the point? If you're just going to hate
exactly.
on them for the sake of hating on them, but not praise them when they do things well, that doesn't mean go out and subscribe to Fallout first, but that means make speak up, do what you would normally do about hating or being negative about the game or whatever. But got to praise them when they do things right. Otherwise,
Exactly.
what's the point?
Exactly. And you have to understand, and it's tough for some people to understand, especially when it's not going well. In Fallout's case, where it had a few months where it was not going very well,
Right.
you have to understand that this stuff isn't free.
Yeah.
Not to sound pro corporation, but they can't just complete pumping out, or continue to pump out free DLC and expansions. And there's a reason that these things exist, especially if for live service games. You have to pay for them to keep the doors open to continue iterating.
I mean, yeah, for sure. And if you got a game like, let's like looking at Fallout 76, if you hate what the game did and you don't want to play it again, that's completely reasonable. But if you stuck around like us and we came back around, we played Wastelanders and you enjoy the game, then support the game. Like I said, that doesn't mean necessarily go get Fallout first, but I mean don't give it tons of negative press. Don't burn it into oblivion like you see on other like games on Steam where they just hate on it just to get the the review scores down as low as they can. But if you enjoy the game, support it so that you get more of that game that you enjoy. Whether if that means giving it a positive review, or if you have a YouTube channel talking about it positively about the things you like, then do that. Give it a good review. Talk about it positively on your YouTube channel. Do whatever. Tell your friends you're having a good time so that they can have a good time with you. And
well, I mean, if you're going to be credible, if you're wanting to be taken serious, and you're critiquing the game for its issues, you have to be willing to acknowledge positive things that come out. Right. I'm very pro Bethesda. I'm very much a big fan of all their games. But there are times where I get extremely upset with them, and I'm very vocal on the subreddits where I'm where I'm displeased with how things are going. But I stick with them. It's one of those things where you have to be able to critique, but you also have to be able to acknowledge when they're doing something right. But
I think a perfect example of this is, not to derail us too hard, but it'll just be a second, but Halo is a perfectly good example of this, whereas Halo 4, basically 343's Halo games, not including the Master Chief Collection, at least the Master Chief Collection now. Halo 4, I did not enjoy. Halo 5, I did not enjoy as far as single player campaigns.
Mm-hmm.
And then Halo Infinite releases its trailer, and the first thing I notice is Master Chief's armor.
Yes,
exactly the way we want. And I'm like, I've been kind of on the 343, not necessarily hate train, but being like they just aren't the competent, Halo storytellers like Bungie's original trilogy was. But that's the thing. I can sit here and talk about, the things I don't like about Halo 4 or Halo 5 all day. But when it comes to Halo Infinite, and people expect me to hate on that as well, but it's like, guys, I have nothing but excitement for it, because they've only all I can tell you about Halo Infinite is what we've seen from the trailers. And what we've seen from the trailers, Master Chief's armor looks sick. They're going back to a more classic score, like they're using the Halo 3 score, which I love. I love that. And so far, I have nothing but great things to say about it. They're listening to the community. They're giving us what looks like what we want. And I'm excited. I have no reason not to be excited. And it's the same thing with Fallout.
To a very good comparison, people are wanting the Matrix. They're not wanting the Matrix Revolutions.
Right. Yeah.
If anyone understands that at all, it's The Matrix was a great movie, very action packed, a very great story. The Revolutions, the third one, was an expositional mess in my opinion, but whatever. Okay. And you can make the same argument with Battlefront 2 also with EA or Motive too.
For sure. You could argue about how bad that that game launched as a freaking casino, completely pay to win, and then look at it now. It's got a bigger fan base than whenever the game launched, more active players when the game launched. They are releasing expansion after expansion that people love. They're giving us the heroes, the content, the game modes that we all want to see. And now
you could argue that their road to redemption was way tougher than Fallout's.
Oh, yeah,
I mean, they literally
lawsuits.
They were sent to the deepest pit of hell and somehow clawed their way back out of it.
Yeah.
that game, you talk about a story of redemption. EA Motive, I think that's who it is, right?
It's
Motive.
I just DICE and EA, man. I don't. And yeah, I also got to count the kick in the ass they got from Disney. But they, they. What blows me away about, especially Battlefront, is Battlefield 5 is a year newer than Battlefront 2, and from what we're seeing on the news this summer, Battlefield 5 is getting its last update, and then it's dead. It's gone, done.
Dude, it's been dead. I'm a huge Battlefield fan. It's been dead since 2 months after it released.
But I
Man.
mean, they're saying they're done shipping content for the game, new content after this summer.
Oh yeah.
That's what I'm saying. And it's like, dude, Battlefront 2 is expecting an expansion this month. And it's a year older than Battlefield 5, made by the same people. And
They're on year
Battlefield 5
3 right now, right?
What's that?
They're on year 3 right now, right?
It launched holiday 2017. So, yeah,
Okay.
this holiday will be 3 years. And that's wild, because Battlefield is their bread and butter franchise, their shooter franchise to compete with Call of Duty, and they're shutting the doors on it this summer. And Battlefront is still kicking out expansions. We might be looking at the final expansions for Battlefront, but the fact that it's a year older and still kicking is wild after its rough start. But, Fallout 76 is looking like it's going to be in a similar boat with Battlefront, because, as you know, it launched in a horrible state, just a broken game. It couldn't really, because, I mean, like, Fallout fans want a Fallout game, but multiplayer fans want a multiplayer game, and it kind of rode the line between the two, and the final product didn't really make either side happy. And now Wastelanders is here, and I feel like they're like you said, the direction they wanted to take this game initially is not where the game is now. And I think they just, instead of looking how they can make this crazy and wild, like, with multiplayer and everything, they just took a look back at the rule book and just started giving Fallout fans the content that Fallout fans like. And that,
I'm very excited for for the future of that game, for sure. There was an answer that they had, that someone had asked about the Brotherhood of Steel and the Enclave. They had kind of a winky face comment about it. Like, the Brotherhood is watching, and I'm like, oh, good.
Oh, yeah. Now, and we talked about that when 76 launched. It's like, if you're going to have PvP, give us Fallout.
How have they not thought of that? Get rid of Nuclear Winter, replace, because it's like, what, 50 players or whatever?
Yeah.
Get rid of Nuclear Winter, have a 25v25 Enclave versus Brotherhood of Steel multiplayer match, and have randomized maps throughout the Wasteland. Yeah. How has that not been on their radar? I mean, that
idea is the fact that it's a perfect mixture of things Fallout fans want and things that you would expect from a Fallout PvP game. And
they have set that up from years ago. Like, that makes so much sense. I mean, take the faction mechanic from Elder Scrolls Online, turn it into Brotherhood of Steel and an Enclave. Maybe throw one more in there, and I don't know, throw the Railroad or some bullshit like that. But
dude, the Raiders and the Settlers, and that's like lowly PvP. But once you hit level 100, you graduate to grand PvP, and you can join the Brotherhood of Steel, the Enclave, and really get in some combat.
I mean, get rid of Nuclear Winter, because nobody wants it. I'm sorry, nobody wants Nuclear Winter. It was fun. It was a fun gimmick, but take that and turn it into Brotherhood of Steel versus the Enclave. Yeah, it blows my mind that that's not a thing.
Yeah, that's how you do Fallout PvP.
Exactly. That's lore friendly. That's lore friendly PvP that people will go crazy for.
That's how you ride the fence, but still make both sides of the fence happy.
And could you imagine, like, 25v25 power armor,
dude?
Battles. That's like Titan versus Titan on Titanfall 2, but like jacked up to 11, because there are 50 Titans on the map.
My particular steel power armor's got a jetpack, so I'm flying around, and it's gonna be sweet. I hope
Fallout is it's heading in the right direction. I hope that they continue to iterate on it. I hope that they work. Now I'm talking about the PvP. I hope they do something with that. Yeah. But yeah, I'm loving it so far.
Yeah. This is a great first major step in the right direction for Fallout 76. And I hope that enough people give it a second chance and come back and have as much fun as we did, so that we can get more expansions like this, honestly. See what this game could turn into. Exactly. And I know I mentioned this last night, but this was one expansion, and this is where we are. Imagine what this game would look like 2 expansions from now, this size. It's really exciting, honestly.
Yeah. So let's take the last few minutes here, and we talk. I think we did really well talking about Fallout.
Next,
let's take the last, because we'll try to keep this at around we'll try to end up about 40 minutes, and then I'll do an outro, and we'll do the thingy. But these last 6 minutes, let's talk about last night.
Well, I'll start our conversation about what went down last night with the video on the YouTube channel Live from My Basement.
Yes,
went live like 5 minutes ago. So
by the time that this releases, it will be out. So if anyone happens to watch this, just randomly searching for new podcasts, and you're like, hey, I want to listen to something new, and you pull up to this cool one called Pixel Beasts, and you listen to it all the way through, go to youtube.com/live from my basement, watch the Bigfoot video, and your mind will be blown.
We played Bigfoot last night on Steam with some of our best friends, and we had a blast. If you've never heard,
how have I never heard of this game before, man?
And if you've never heard about it like we had, it was it's basically a 4 to 5 player co-op game where you and your friends go out into the woods as campers and hunt down Bigfoot to try to capture him. That did not happen last night.
No, we didn't get close at all. And I think Zach and Ethan are liars. There is no way you can kill Bigfoot. we put when we were attacked, we put so many rounds into him, and his health went down maybe 10%.
Yeah, I'd say that's about right.
There's no way to kill this thing. I don't care what they say.
And there, with all the preparation, because it's so fun. It's got a day and night cycle, so it's like you spend your days planning, and then your night is you're on the edge of your seat waiting for this big hairy bastard to attack, and you're trying to catch him with bear traps and tracking bullets, and you got cameras set up all over the woods and all over your camp, and you're just trying to catch him, but he's so big and he's so fast, and it's so terrifying.
He is so powerful. There's a point in game design where your main NPC villain is too powerful to the point where he literally breaks the game to defeat you.
You want to elaborate on what exactly you're talking about there?
He paralyzed my character, Alex. I don't even think that that's possible in that game. He paralyzed my character.
Broke your spine, and you turned into a man slug who could just crawl around.
He came back and finished the job like half an hour later.
On camera.
Yeah. On camera. Oh my goodness. Seriously, if anyone watches this, go.
It's all.
If anyone, yeah. If anyone watches or listens to this, go to Live from My Basement, watch that video. It is it'll be the best 30 minutes of your life. Just for the shenanigans. Like, that game is so janky, and that's what makes it fun, but it does create one hell of an atmosphere. It is a very scary atmosphere. Like, the sound design is phenomenal in that game, I will say that. The aesthetic is really good.
Bigfoot's scary as hell.
And despite it being janky and being a little glitchy, Bigfoot is a scary adversary. He is very scary. When you see him in the distance, you freak out. He runs. He's like Usain Bolt. Like, if Usain Bolt was like 3 or 4 foot taller and about as built as the Incredible Hulk, and he was running at you, that's exactly what Bigfoot is. Like, he does not mess around, man.
Yeah, he's so big, so fast, so strong. He just, and I think one of my favorite parts is like towards the end of the game, because like I said, there's a day and night cycle, and I have the video laid out where it literally tells you the beginning of each day, so you kind of can track.
Oh, I can't wait to watch this.
But we finally start to get our stuff together to where we can set up a trap and try to ambush this guy, but he just comes in. And so if you guys are interested in watching, watch him just pick us off one at a time over the course of 5 game days. Check it out.
I don't know if you remember, I called it too. As when we decided to leave I take that back. I think it was Ethan, when he decided that we should leave the cabin to go get traps and come back and set up a defense or set up a trap to get him. I said, as we left, we're not going to make it back. I was like, guys, we're not going to make it back. He's going to get us.
Dude, I sat down today, and when I came to that point, literally, yeah, it was like Ethan and Jake knew what was going on. And they knew that we weren't going to make it back. You guys both just like sighed or like, yeah, guys, I don't think it's in the cards. And then
it's like I just want you to know we could. This sounds great on paper, but we're not coming back. We're not going to make it to this cabin. I hope you know that. Oh my goodness!
Ride, but
the fact that that's why I love the jankiness of this game, like the glitches in this game. It makes the game so much for me because that part, like I figured out what happened is Zach, like as he was picking me up, that's when Bigfoot came back, and literally about the time that I stood up and I saw my gun pull up, Bigfoot was swiping at Zach, and because I was next to Zach, he got me as well. So I think the game code like couldn't comprehend all that happening at once. So it kept my life, but it's like my conscience was alive, but my body was dead. I don't know. I don't know how to explain it. My brain was alive, but my brainstem was like, or my spinal cord was ripped in half.
Yeah. It was like I said, like it's hard to explain. If you're listening, watch the video and it'll all make sense. Go to like the 20-minute mark and it all
the leap of faith to make it back to you, man.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah,
oh dude, god,
I edited it today and it had me in tears just editing it down. It was an almost 2-hour session that I edited down to a little over 30 minutes, and it's hysterical.
And you've got Predator Hunting Grounds coming down the pipeline too, because we've got that coming out tomorrow.
Yeah, we're gonna be streaming
that one's gonna be.
Yeah, that's gonna be good too. It's the same thing as Bigfoot, except one of us is playing as Bigfoot.
I'm so excited for that.
Yeah,
game.
Dude, I am too. And I don't know exactly when you plan on having this up, but if it's up this weekend sometime, by the time you're hearing this, we're gonna have some videos up of Predator. So maybe
I am going to try and get this put together Friday and sent off Friday. So hopefully it'll be up on YouTube by Friday or Saturday, and hopefully approved on iTunes by Sunday. So this should be up here in the next couple days.
So yeah, if you're listening to this, then go to the channel, watch us get killed by predators.
But anything you want to add before we finish up?
That's pretty much it, man. Fallout 76 is in a really great spot. Bigfoot's terrifying, and Predator is tomorrow.
Oh man, this is a great weekend is coming up. That's for sure.
Oh yeah, can't wait.
All right, well, there's episode 2. Yeah, if you like what you hear, leave us a comment on iTunes. Leave us a sub. Also, go to youtube.com/pixelbeasts if you want to listen to it there. Eventually I'll start having other stuff up there too, so be on the lookout for that. And then also youtube.com/live from my basement. Check that out. His content is fantastic, and oh man, I want people to see this Bigfoot video.
The content is fantastic, and I'm in it.
in it to win it. Alex, thank you for sticking with me again on this second try.
Yeah, episode 2, take 2. I think it was better than
episode
take 1.
Episode 2, take 2. I think it did. I think it was 2. But.
And look at the time, a little bit longer.
a little bit longer, but we're still between that 30-45 minute range, so we're good. We're getting there. All right. Well, thanks everyone. Peace.
Bye-bye.
Bye.